Protesters stormed the Capitol building yesterday, and oh boy, is there a whole lot to go over on that, including some of the reaction that went with that and the processes that went along after that. So we will talk a bit about that. Georgia has certified that both John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock will both be senators coming off of this, handing control of the Senate over to Kamala Harris. So we'll talk a bit about what's going on with that. Joe Biden is picking Merrick Garland to be his attorney general. And we'll talk a bit about what's going on there. And congressional members and the cabinet at this point all come out and start talking about that 25th Amendment that you've been hearing oh so much about since the first day after Election Day in 2016. It's going to be a long ride here, folks. I got a lot of stuff here, a lot of it's tweets, so we'll fly through it, but bear with me here, tell a couple friends, and we'll get through this. I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Well, guys, the website is back up, so we're gonna start in there as we always do. But it has been a mess. There's been a lot of stuff to go on. I want to thank everybody who came by and talked in the live chat yesterday as we tried to sort through some of the things that went through. I'm going to stay away from a few of the more conspiratorial things today, but I know that we're going to talk about a lot more about this on Monday on the Red Net Show. Break a little bit more of this down and a little bit more in depth. I had to cut a bunch of stuff for time today because there's so much. There's so much, and there's still so much we don't know. And a lot of the guy with the communist tattoo on his hand, the wolf weird costume guy that busted into the Capitol and now everybody thinks is some sort of pedo bait. It's everything and more. But before we get into any of that, head on over to freedomscoop.com, which is newly back up, by the way. freedomscoop.com is going to be your one-stop shop for all of your news and commentary needs, where we carry great shows such as The Generational Gap, The Breakdown with Birkenhoff, The Freckles and Brit Show, The R-Rated Conservative, and The Daily Ignoramus. Who was responsible? And I'm going to talk about... No, you know what? We'll wait till the end to talk about that. But head on over there, pick up some of our swag, and help us support great creators. Looking into the markets, starting with the Dow. After everything that went by here, the Dow went back up, almost touching 31,000 yesterday. It looks like it did touch 31,000 at one point. 31,004.46 at a little bit after 2 p.m. in the midst of everything else that was going on, and we'll talk a bit about that when we talk to the investors. A little bit of a tumble towards the end, and we closed at 30,829.40. So we'll talk a bit about what's going on there. However, the big winner yesterday was the cryptocurrency market, including Bitcoin, who went up to 38,136.70. The bubble's going to pop at some point here, but if you can find a way to get onto it before it pops, I would highly recommend it at this point because it doesn't seem to be going any direction other than up. With all the chaos, with all the discord, and people are putting their money into something that is not backed by the federal government, as we look towards some of the stuff that happened yesterday, that's going to be your big power play. And I've said before, don't buy it now because it's going to crash down. Fuck what I said. Talk to your investor, see if it's right for you, and see if you can get your hands on some of that as well. All right, looking into what the investors have to say from Investors Business Daily. Dow Jones Futures rise. Congress certifies Biden win after pro-Trump mob stormed Capitol Hill. These 5 stocks are a buy, from Ed Carson. Dow Jones Futures rose Thursday morning along with S&P 500 and NASDAQ Futures after Congress returned to Capitol Hill Wednesday night to finish certifying Joe Biden's Electoral College presidential victory. Earlier, Georgia runoff election results fueled a stock market rally and a shift into cyclical sectors, but the major indices closed Wednesday mixed as pro-Trump mob stormed Capitol Hill. Tesla stock rose in pre-market trading on yet another analyst price target hike. On Wednesday, target stock Apple chipmaker Qorvo, General Motors trucking firm XPO Logistics, and wellness specialist Medifast all broke out or flashed bullish signals, all closing in buy range. The Dow Jones S&P 500 Index and small cap Russell 2000 rallied to record highs Wednesday, fueled by infrastructure plays, financials, hospitals, casinos, marijuana-related companies, as well as old and new energy stocks. The Nasdaq Composite rebounded for modest gains, but faded late on the Trump mob's Capitol Hill breach. Tech giants such as Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, and Nvidia retreated, along with many software names. CanSlim expert David Ryan highlighted the shift into cyclical stocks in Wednesday's special IBD Live. IBD has highlighted a possible change in leadership in recent days and weeks, including in our latest IBD Weekly Cover story. Many of Wednesday's big winners are extended, such as Caterpillar, HCA, U.S. Steel, Canopy Growth, JP Morgan Chase, and Tesla. They aren't actionable now, though investors should keep an eye on them. Apple, Tesla, Target are on the IBD leaderboard. Target, XPO, and GM are on Swing Trader. Microsoft is an IBD long-term leader. Nvidia and Amazon are on the IBD 50. Yeah, and they're not going to talk to... there's the futures right there. Let's see what the futures are going to be. Dow Jones futures rose 0.4% versus fair value. S&P 500 futures climbed 0.6%. Nasdaq 100 futures advanced 0.9%. Bitcoin continued to skyrocket to new highs at 8:30 a.m. The Labor Department will release the weekly jobless claims data. On Friday, Labor will post the December jobs report. Those are two things, by the way, that are no longer going to be covered by the mainstream media coming up in 2 weeks. So keep that in mind. You are going to have to do some digging if you want to see what the jobless claims are. I was just talking with somebody right before I went live on Twitter about the fact that she asked, what's going to happen coming up in the next few years after all this is going down? Will we suddenly be unified? Will everything be rosy? Will they stop testing? And I said, no, that's not what's going to happen. The mainstream media is going to try and peddle fear porn for a couple months to try and keep getting those rage clicks like they used to get. And then they're going to get a very, very stern talking to about the fact that they are peddling fear porn against the wrong kind of people. And they're going to cower away in fear. They're all going to lose money, and everybody's going to go back to sleep. And I recommend you find a good alternative media platform to give you more and better news. I know that we want to build up freedomscoop.com, get some more writing in here, get some more articles, so that it's not just going to be a few people talking to a microphone every day. I want to build a better news website that is by the working man for the working man, instead of by billion-dollar companies for, well, you better take it, otherwise we'll call you a racist and a bigot. Let's keep going here. From CNBC. Stock futures rise, adding to Wednesday's gain as Congress confirms Biden election. From Fred Imbert and Maggie Fitzgerald. U.S. stock futures rose on Thursday as Congress confirmed the election of Joseph R. Biden Jr. as president. Gains were muted following a sizable rally on Wednesday. The Dow Jones Industrial Average futures added 127 points or 0.4%. S&P 500 futures rose 0.6% and Nasdaq 100 futures gained 0.8%. Shares of JP Morgan rose 2.2% in the pre-market after the banking giant has upgraded to by an analyst at Bank of America. Walgreens Boots Alliance was the best performing Dow stock, rising 3.2% on the back of stronger than expected quarterly results. On Wednesday, the Dow climbed more than 400 points or 1.4% to close at a record as investors digested what a Democratic-held Congress would mean for stocks and largely looked past riots at the U.S. Capitol. You're gonna be sorry. The S&P 500 rose 0.57%, hitting an intraday all-time high during the session. During Wednesday's trading session, markets were seemingly unaffected by the chaos in Washington caused by pro-Trump rioters at the U.S. Capitol. Lawmakers had just started the procedural process of counting the Electoral College votes and formally declaring President-elect Joe Biden the winner when protesters stormed the chamber. And that's where I'm going to cut this one off here because we have got a lot more to talk about from there to there on this specific topic. So we're not going to take it from the stockbrokers. We're going to take it from everybody else coming up here. So thank you to CNBC. Start off the day with just a couple tweets here, including this pan out from Jack Posobiec. Let's have a listen. I've got your ears on. Let's see what they're seeing here. And this was, by the way, one of the first things that I pointed out when I started to see shit going down yesterday. I saw it going on Twitter and I said, but my numbers, nobody showed up for Trump. Nobody likes Trump. Nobody showed up for him. Look, my numbers. Well, the numbers were apparently great enough to go and storm and take the Capitol. So there's something you definitely want to think about there. There had to be at least a couple million people out there yesterday. Just a sea of people marching out to it. But I know in Elephant Man, for every awesome thing that he does in the chat and every awesome piece of citrus fruit that he throws at me, for everything that Elephant Man does, he told me that I had a bad take when I said something about the numbers, which something to keep in mind as well, that it may have been a bad take, but I don't give a fuck. CNN, MSNBC, they were sitting there beating off, ready to come out and say, oh my God, nobody came out for Trump. Everybody hates Trump. Nobody came out for him. They talked a big game, but nobody came out here. Look, he couldn't even fill up the inauguration. Look at what Barack Obama did. They were waiting for that. And they were beating off waiting for that. And then the numbers came in. And we actually saw a good turnout here. Now, not everybody in the crowd was a good person in the crowd, and we're going to talk a bit about some of that as well. But the biggest takeaway that I saw from this is that 99% of people on Twitter are fucking hypocrites at this point. Because they were all excited when people were having the protest and burning down private property. Because it's wealthy people that own the businesses in the middle of their own neighborhoods. And my former neighborhood too, by the way. They were all excited for that. But now this is domestic terrorism. But just the same, your thin blue liners were out saying that, it was domestic terrorism when Antifa and BLM were running out and torching everything that they could get their hands on in Portland, Kenosha, Chicago, Atlanta, and places like that. But this is heroic. Look at how brave these people are trying to take their democracy back. I don't like the fact that they broke shit. I really don't. I don't like the fact that they busted in the Capitol. I think that the lawmakers cowering back like that was a photo op. Because I don't think that they were as afraid as they were trying to put on. It was a brave acting face for the camera. I mean, politics is Hollywood for ugly people, is what it is. So of course they're going to put on the scared face so they can come out in the face of adversity, and now they're going to be the heroes of the Republic. All right. But that's what we're seeing from Posobiec. From CBS News. Watch. Shut up. Watch. Chris Van Cleve reports as U.S. Capitol Police and pro-Trump protesters class while some office buildings at the Capitol complex are evacuated.
The posture from the Capitol Police has noticeably changed in the last half hour. There is noticeable tension now in the air. We've come around to the other side of the Capitol. This is the side of the Capitol that looks down across the National Mall. There are some Trump supporters that have scaled part of what will be the inauguration stage. We can see a Trump flag being waved up top there. And Maz, if you'll pan across, you can see the crowd stretches down onto at least approaching the National Mall here. So you're talking about thousands of people, the vast majority of them here peacefully gathering. However, we've got some video we want to show you of some tense moments in exchange with Capitol Police here. There had been some talk yesterday about an effort to storm the Capitol. Obviously, this is a very secure facility. It has its own police force.
Obviously, it wasn't that secure.
They are out here in force. We've heard the sort of boom and bang noises that often we have heard around protests here that are indicative of perhaps a flashbang sort of sound grenade that police can put off to try to help control a crowd. And we have watched a large number of police flow into the area here. this is, of course, you've got thousands and thousands of people who had gathered here at the Capitol, and the other folks that were on the ellipse that have made their way several blocks up Pennsylvania Avenue here to the Capitol. And you have a very, very large crowd here. Certainly no effort we're seeing to disperse the bulk of the crowd, Nora, but we are hearing some reports of at least some tense moments with police and at least one, possibly two of the office buildings here in the Capitol complex being evacuated as the crowd continues to grow.
And, I mean, you saw right there at the end. Let me see if I can find it there. Now, and then this was what people are focusing on yesterday until everything actually went down here. Oh my God, they had a Confederate flag. My pearls, my pearls! Oh my God, the humanity. There might have been racism there. A person who carries a Confederate flag might believe in racism. Racism, oh my God. So, that's what they're seeing coming back up out of this. And, I mean, yeah, they should have the right to occupy the people's house. Once again, I wish they wouldn't have busted shit. But I can't look back and change it right now. But let's move on. Reading from Politico. Hill chaos turns deadly after rioters storm the Capitol. From Sarah Ferris, Olivia Beavers, Melanie Zanona, Burgess Everett, and Marianne Levine. Pro-Trump rioters overwhelmed the Capitol Police and stormed Congress on Wednesday afternoon, interrupting the certification of Joe Biden's Electoral College win and throwing the U.S. Capitol into a deadly spiral of chaos and violence. Shortly after 2:30 p.m., lawmakers, staff, and reporters were forced to shelter in place, and several House office buildings were evacuated due to potential bomb threats. Vice President Mike Pence was pulled from the Senate chamber, but the situation quickly spun out of control. Protesters breached the Capitol building, entering the Senate chamber, and streaming through Statutory Hall. They broke windows, and one man sat in the very seat Pence had been sitting in just a few minutes before, while another was in Speaker Nancy Pelosi's office. A handwritten message was left on the Speaker's desk saying, "We will not back down." Lawmakers, reporters, and staffers sheltered throughout the building as pro-Trump rioters banged on doors and shouted. At one point, gunfire was heard inside the Capitol as Capitol Police officers barricaded the doors to the House chamber, guns drawn and blocking rioters from entering. Authorities later confirmed a woman was shot and killed by U.S. Capitol Police. Those Capitol Police, they're heroes. We'll talk about that in just a second. Three others died in medical emergencies. D.C. police said tear gas was deployed in the rotunda and an improvised explosive device was found on the Capitol grounds. The FBI later said that an investigation into the IED was ongoing. I don't remember there being tear gas. And I was watching a large portion of Steven's stream yesterday from the point he was in the building on. So I would have thought that if there had been tear gas inside the rotunda, that I would have at least seen that. But I know he, once they started ushering people out, was among in the crowd. I don't buy that there was tear gas, but Politico can come off and score cheap political fucking points. Pelosi, House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer were quickly whisked away to an undisclosed location as the violent protesters broke through the Capitol, busting through secure doors, shattering windows, and even scaling scaffolding outside of the Senate leadership offices. Funny. Why does this sound familiar? I wonder. Have you guys seen any memes or trending hashtags on Twitter yesterday about Bunker Nancy? Or Diaper Schumer? They were whisked away to an undisclosed protective location. You know, kind of like they did when they were rattling on the fence of the White House yesterday. And yet, we see no mockery of them from people over on Twitter. Did you notice that? I noticed that. It's only he's hiding in the bunker if it's evil Donald Trumpler, the evil one. And once again, looking back at the fact that yes, this is massive hypocrisy on every scale imaginable. Let's keep going. By mid-afternoon, the National Guard has finally caught up. to help suppress the unrest, nearly 2 hours after the first reports of the breach. What unfolded at the Capitol was the culmination of months of Trump's tweets. That's what I have to say about this next paragraph I'm about to read. And statements pushing his allies to overturn the results of the 2020 election, based on baseless claims of fraud. Lawmakers, helpless, helpless. Those poor people amid the chaos tweeted urgently at the president to call off his supporters and described in real time the violence and destruction that they were witnesses to. Some immediately called Trump's conduct impeachable, while others, Republicans and Democrats, described it as a coup attempt and an insurrection. Senator Ben Sasse, a Trump critic, described the violence as the inevitable and ugly outcome of the president's addiction to constantly stoking division. Mitt Romney, you know what? Fuck Mitt Romney. I don't care what these people had to say. These people hate you. These people hate you. They don't care about who is in the office as long as it's one of theirs, as long as it's not one of ours. They fucking hate you. And they're going to show it at this point. All right, let's keep going before I go completely off on a rant at this. From CBS News, Capitol is secured after assault from Trump supporters. From Graham Cates, Victoria Albert, Jordan Freeman, Justin Carissimo, Zoe Kristen, Jones. At least 4 people are dead after supporters of President Trump stormed the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C. on Wednesday, forcing Congress to evacuate as lawmakers counted electoral votes to certify President-elect Joe Biden's victory in the November election. The chaos erupted shortly after Mr. Trump gave a speech, once again falsely claiming to have won a second term and vowing, "We will never concede." One woman was shot and killed by the police after breaching the Capitol and attempting to enter the House chamber. 3 others died as a result of medical emergencies, according to the Metropolitan Police Department. Troops from Virginia, Maryland, and the D.C. National Guard were deployed to help quell the violence. Several hours after the initial breach, law enforcement announced the Capitol had been secured. As the chaos ensued, Mr. Trump told his supporters to go home, but repeated the false inflammatory claim that the election had been stolen. "We have to have peace. We have to have law and order," the president said. Police said 52 arrests were made on Wednesday. 4 were related to weapons charges, and 6 firearms were recovered. 2 pipe bombs, one near the Republican National Committee and one near the Democratic National Committee, were also recovered, along with a cooler filled with Molotov cocktails. The Senate and House both reconvened late Wednesday to resume the counting of the Electoral College votes. The U.S. and the U.S. Congress have faced down much greater threats than the unhinged crowd we saw today, said Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. "We've never been deterred before, nor will not be deterred today." So the Capitol is now secure. Let's keep going. From the New York Post. You know, I don't usually do the live chat while I'm going on and talking on Contemporary here, but Nailbender's got a good one over here in the live chat. I just want to address this for a second here. Nailbender says, lots of red pills about to be handed out on both sides in the coming weeks. Things are not going to be good, but they're going to be interesting. And I thought about this too as this went along, and just when we saw the story too about the MAGA patriots that are stomping on the thin blue line flag, because after they spent the summer saying, "We stand with the blue, we back the blue," in Portland, the blue turned on them, threw them on the ground, arrested them, while leaving Antifa to go in a park just a little bit away. And no, they shouldn't get special treatment because they supported the police, but the authoritarian wing of the left, the person who wrote the 1994 crime bill, is about to be the president of the United States. And every time the police, that all these people supported for so long, turn around and turn their ire against the people that supported them, who I think the police are going to look at as an easy target, as somebody who's going to comply, but every time they turn their ire against these people now, you remember this, the anti-cigarette commercials from a few years ago, when a guy would like stand out and with a megaphone and start telling people stuff about cigarettes and how bad they were, and then, you know, they'd freeze the frame in there and you'd start to see asterisks, eased over the faces of everybody in the frame. Like, oh, these people are finally going to get it. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. Every time the Capitol Police turn their ire against people who are protesting. Because they're not going to stop at the violent ones. So, thank you, Nailbender, for that. But, let's keep going here from the New York Post. Capitol protesters loot vandalize Nancy Pelosi's office. I don't know what's going on here, but apparently something. By the way, you can check out the Twitch, YouTube, and Periscope if you're over on Instagram and see what's actually going on. See the article that I'm reading right in the background. Let's keep going. Rioters vandalized House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's suite of offices in the U.S. Capitol on Wednesday, flipping tables and rummaging through desks after a large mob of Trump supporters stormed the building. One man was photographed reclining with his feet up on a desk in Pelosi's office, while other men in Make America Great Again hats horsed around with desk phones and streamed the incident. Another demonstrator was seen grinning as he walked away with Pelosi's podium as unprecedented scenes of looting and chaos engulfed the Capitol after rioters overpowered police and trapped lawmakers in the Senate and House of Representatives chamber, leading to a tense armed standoff. Protesters were photographed wandering around lawmakers' private offices and rummaging through their desks as members of Congress were dramatically evacuated and taken to a secret location. And yet we still don't hear, the bunker! Oh, they're hiding in the bunker! Oh my God! Now, they're so brave. They're so amazing. They're heroes, I tell you. Capitol Hill police had to plead with demonstrators not to rifle through the senators' belongings as they posed for selfies. That's theft. Do something about it. It's government property and it's the people's property, but still. The White House announced it was deploying the National Guard to D.C. to help disperse the crowd as lawmakers on both sides of the aisle begged the president to do something. Tens of thousands of Trump supporters flocked to Washington earlier Wednesday to hear the president deliver a fiery speech at a rally outside the White House, where he claimed the election had been stolen from him. Both chambers of the Congress were in session for a vote to confirm President-elect Joe Biden's victory. Lawmakers who had been debating were forced to barricade in the Senate and House floor, where pro-Trumpers rioters, unhappy with the election results, stormed the building. Yep, sitting in Pelosi's office. Now, I have not confirmed any of this. I know that it's been talked about in other outlets. I know the Generational Gap guys were talking about this with Clint from the Liberty Lockdown podcast last night. Go check all of those great people out if you have not checked those people out already. But they were discussing. I didn't even know he was going to be on their show last night. I didn't find out about that until the last second. But yeah, they were sitting there and talking with him, and Clint is adamant that they also got some hard drives with some information up there. Now, I don't know if that's true because I haven't been able to confirm that. But that's going to be huge here if we start to see some stuff that's, these representatives and senators don't want the rest of you to know. So there could still be some good that comes out of this. A lot more transparency out of the government. So we will see what happens with that. I'm willing to bet if what Clint said is true, then we're going to start seeing some of the backlash from that in the next few days. And you think that they were cracking skulls before. Let's keep going. From CNN. Hear what Trump told the crowd before the riot. If this is just news people and people that are trying to cut this up and make this bad, we're going to cut it, but let's give them the benefit of the
terror
doubt.
in the nation's capital today. A curfew is in effect as we speak in Washington. You wouldn't know it, though, if you just looked at the live pictures. You still have pro-Trump groups and mobs in the streets, standoff with police. We are also learning that today's insurrection has turned deadly. A woman was pronounced dead at a hospital after apparently being shot on Capitol grounds. Amidst this, and at this hour, we can now confirm the entire D.C. National Guard has been activated, and they're going to be joined by the Virginia State Police and Maryland troopers, as well as up to 500 members of the National Guard of the state of Maryland. The images that we all saw today in front of our eyes were unbelievable. It's not something anybody ever expected to see in the United States. Anarchists breaking the glass of the United States Capitol, breaking in, then entering. It is the first time that the U.S. Capitol has been breached since the British attacked and burned the building in August of 14 during the War of 1812. And then inside, an armed standoff. This image I found breathtaking when I saw it on the door.
Okay, they're not going to give the fucking speech. Fuck you, CNN. But in reality, when you look at some of this here, the government should be afraid of their people. So yes, this is unprecedented. This is the first time, and there's a problem with that. There's more of us than there are of them. Keep that in mind. And we pay taxes. We own that house. Keep that in mind as well. All right, let's keep going. I got a couple tweets here for us to look at. Joe Biden tweets out, "Let me be clear. The scenes of chaos at the Capitol do not represent who we are. What we're seeing is a small number of extremists dedicated to lawlessness. This is not dissent. It's disorder. It borders on sedition, and it must end. Now. I'm going to send Corn Pop out for you guys, okay? I'm going to send him out there. He's a real bad dude. He's got a straight razor. He's going to set you guys straight. And the kids are going to jump up on my lap because I got hairy legs." Thank you, Joe Biden. Tim runs his mouth. Over on Twitter, tweets out the tone-deaf media, including Anderson Cooper, continue to antagonize Trump supporters with lines like, "They'll go back to Olive Garden to imply that they're beneath them, then get shocked when they begin to physically fight back." And that's a great point going along with that as well. Because they are shocked that they can sit back and they can talk down to these people for years and years. And this goes back beyond Trump, by the way. This goes long, long, long beyond Trump. This is the media looking down at a certain class of, not even just a certain class, a large swath of the American people and saying, "Yeah, no, these are just flyover country idiots here. We don't give a fuck about these people." But we'll see what Tim Young was talking about. From Hollywood Life with Bonnie Fuller, Anderson Cooper says Trump rioters will head to Olive Garden and fans clap back. Not on my watch. A lot of folks love the Olive Garden, but apparently CNN's Anderson Cooper thinks the restaurant chain might be a favorite of the rioters from Donald Trump's rally, who stormed the U.S. Capitol building, occupying offices and terrorizing members of Congress who were evacuated for their own protection. When discussing the D.C. chaos on January 6th, Cooper described how, after seditiously attempting to pillage the Capitol, the MAGA terrorists were going to go off and eat dinner at an Olive Garden while high-fiving each other. I think we can hear it here.
For what they have done today, we should look at their faces, and if I was standing on that street, look at them. They're high-fiving each other for this deplorable display of completely unpatriotic, completely against law and order, completely unconstitutional behavior. It's stunning, and they're going to go back, to the Olive Garden and to the Holiday Inn that they're staying at in the Garden Marriott, and they're going to have some drinks, and they're going to talk about the great day that they had in Washington, and they really did something and stand up for something, and they stood up for nothing other than mayhem, and a man who is, in the despicable waning days of a failed presidency. Where are the for what they?
And that's, you can see when he says the Olive Garden and the Holiday Inn, you can hear the disdain in his voice because he knows, well, once I am done telling the people how to feel and what to think about the MAGA Patriots, I will go to the tavern on the green, which will be open privately for me because I am Anderson Cooper, and I will have my order brought out to me. Well, the peasants are not allowed to come into the tavern on the green, and then I will go stay in the penthouse at the Hilton before I go home to my luxury apartment that cost millions of dollars. Because I am Anderson Cooper. I am the media. And I will tell you plebs what to think. that's your media for you. Let's keep going. We've got one here from NPR. Some Republican senators walk back objections to the election results. And of course, I'm specifically referencing Kelly Loeffler because she's going to be the top story of this. I actually found this story because the Daily Wire was talking about Kelly Loeffler. And now that she's won her election, now she can come out and tell you how she really feels. She's not really a MAGA patriot. She just wanted your MAGA patriot votes. That's all. And NPR will tell you this. And as I've said, the corruption is not just on the Democratic Party. It is on both parties, especially in the elitist of them. But this is NPR. They want your money. Give them your money, or they will forcibly take it from you, because they're taxpayer funded. But you must give them their money, so they can talk into a microphone like this. Maybe, if you give them just a little bit more money, they can turn their microphones up. This is from Miles Park. All right, heading into Wednesday's Electoral College counting process, 14 Republican senators said they had planned to object to at least one state's results. But that number dwindled after a mob overtook the U.S. Capitol building Wednesday afternoon, stoked by President Trump, and his continued falsehoods about the election's legitimacy. Yeah, let's not be objective in journalism or anything. I mean, I spew my hate on when I do my journalism here, but at least it's equal to both sides. Many Republican lawmakers had based their reasons for objecting on the same sorts of conspiracy theories that election experts say led to the violence, and specific focus is being paid to Republican senators as objections to states' results during the counting process can be sustained only if a senator and a House member sign off on them. More than 100 House Republicans had said they planned to object to the results, and a significant majority of the House GOP conference did just that. But the Republicans in the Senate were less willing. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell had said that rejecting the results without evidence would threaten to send the U.S. democracy into a death spiral. Alright, you turtle gullet fucking idiot, it's already there. It is already there. Senator Kelly Loeffler said on the Senate floor after the proceedings resumed Wednesday night that she had intended to object to her state's results but no longer could in good conscience. I lost. I don't give a fuck anymore is what she had to say. Loeffler lost her runoff race this week to Democrat Raphael Warnock. The violence, the lawlessness, and siege of the halls of Congress are abhorrent and stand as a direct threat on the very institution my objection was intended to protect, she said. I got your vote already. Fuck you, is what she meant. It's worth noting that over the past 2 months, Loeffler was one of the loudest amplifiers of falsehoods about supposed voter fraud in Georgia after Trump lost in the state and in the November election. Election administrators there begged for weeks for officials to stop sharing such claims for fear of violence. And once again, it came down to being, I got your vote, now fuck yourself and get out of my office. Republican Senators James Lankford of Oklahoma, Steve Daines of Montana, and Mike Braun of Indiana also reversed course on objecting to any state's results. But Senators Josh Hawley and Roger Marshall went ahead with their objections, but that didn't prevent Congress from certifying Joe Biden's victory. Yeah. It's probably good. I mean, the balance of power trying to slow down the spread of socialism in this country would have been nice, but, I mean, what's this person going to do if you see this? It's just as bad. Now, of course, people think that Mitch McConnell is a uniquely evil person because, well, he's just enabling Trump and he said that he wasn't going to remove, oh my God, he didn't even want to hold the vote, he didn't want to hear the evidence, he's so evil. Because he was looking in on an election year and wanting to make sure that the MAGA people got in there. But if it's going to be, if the Republicans are just going to roll over, bend over backwards and say, please just make it gentle, progressives, then they're just as fucking bad as the progressives. It is the establishment at this point, and as I said before, these people hate you. These people fucking hate you. That's why they want to rule over you. That's why they don't want somebody from the outside coming in there. These fucking people hate you. And you'll notice a lot of it was, especially coming down in the last 2 years, a lot of the most vocal proponents for President Trump, Lindsey Graham, Mitch McConnell, Kelly Loeffler, even David Perdue, were people in the Senate who were up this year in this re-election, and they needed that MAGA vote. Oh, give me that MAGA vote. Oh, right there. Give it to me. Right in the arm. Oh, hey, I'm re-elected. Bye. So yes, this is no better at this point here. From CBS News. Exclusive audio captured of a threat to fly a plane into the U.S. Capitol.
We've got some more breaking news because CBS News has learned that the FBI and FAA are looking into a breach of the air traffic control system tonight after someone broadcast a threat to attack the U.S. Capitol over the radio frequencies used by pilots. CBS's Jeff Pegues has exclusive new reporting tonight.
The chilling threat, obtained exclusively by CBS News, was heard by multiple air traffic controllers on Monday afternoon in New York.
We are flying a plane into the Capitol Wednesday. Soleimani will be avenged.
Sources tell CBS News the Pentagon and other agencies were briefed today about the digitized voice recording and believe it was designed to suggest hitting the Capitol on the same day Congress is set to count the Electoral College results. The recording refers to Qasem Soleimani, the Iranian general killed in a U.S. drone strike ordered by President Trump, and came on the one-year anniversary of.
So yeah, those assholes are going to be into this, coming in to a Biden presidency where Biden has never, ever seen a war invasion that he doesn't fucking like. You remember when that dude yesterday, I had to laugh because that dude said that Biden was going to end the wars. You remember that? I remember that. Pepperidge Farm remembers that. So yeah, these guys are going to do something. Oh, this is going to be an interesting 4 years, guys. Strap yourselves in. All right, let's keep going. From the Buffalo News, Schumer on Capitol attack January 6th will live in infamy. From Jerry Zremski. Like the date of December 7th, the day in 1941 that the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor, January 6th, the day American citizens attacked their own capital, will live forever in infamy. That's the message that Senate Minority Leader Chuck U. Schumer brought to the floor of a damaged Capitol chamber Wednesday night in a speech where he blamed the day's rioting on President Trump. This will be a stain on our country, not so easily washed away, the final, terrible, indelible legacy of the 45th President of the United States, undoubtedly our worst, Schumer, a New York Democrat, said. This mob was in good part President Trump's doing, incited by his words, his lies, his violence, his responsibility, his everlasting shame, Schumer added. Wednesday should have been the highlight of Schumer's career. The four-term senator from Brooklyn learned for nearly certain that he will soon become majority leader, as media called 2 Senate runoffs in Georgia for Democratic candidates. And Schumer seemed positively buoyant at a morning news conference. It feels like a brand new day, he said. For the first time in 6 years, Democrats will operate a majority in the United States Senate, and that will be very good for the American people. Yet, as he spoke, mobs moved from the National Mall and the White House to the Capitol. Within hours, they would break down the barricades and storm the building. It's their building, dude. Relax. Those who perform these reprehensible acts cannot be called protesters, but when they burn down a car dealership in Kenosha, then they can be called protesters. Then they're safe and they're constitutionally protected. And if Donald Trump wants to bring the army out to protect the citizens, then he is a dictatorial fascist and he's trampling on the First Amendment. But when we do it here in the Capitol, it's completely above board. There's your Chuck Schumer for you. Let's keep going. Speaking of New York, from the New York Post. Multiple explosive devices found in D.C. amid the Capitol chaos. That is not an explosive device. That is a kitten. Do I have an author? Yes, from Aaron Feiss. 2 realistic-looking homemade bombs were found Wednesday in Washington, D.C., one just outside the headquarters of the RNC and the other near the DNC, authorities said. Federal authorities also found a truck near the RNC site packed with guns and ammunition, sources told the Washington Post. Reports of the apparent makeshift explosive devices came as supporters of President Trump stormed the U.S. Capitol building in a violent attempt to derail the certification of the 2020 presidential election. One bomb, fashioned out of a metal pipe with wires connecting to a plastic kitchen timer, was found next to a trash can at the Beltway headquarters of the RNC, the Washington Post reported. Yeah, I'm sure they were ready to go throw some more fear porn right in your arm. Oh, take it right there, right in the arm. Oh, yes, the fear, the fear. Oh. The device was on the ground next to the wall of the building, CNN said. It was successfully detonated, the RNC said in a statement. A second apparent explosive device was found near the DNC headquarters, the Washington Post said. The FBI said in a statement that both devices were rendered safe by FBI and our law enforcement partners, according to the outlet. It's weird. You'll notice that the outlet comes out and says, oh, we had to blow up the bomb by the RNC. But oddly enough, the outlet doesn't say that they had to blow the one up outside the DNC. Did you notice that? Follow the bouncing ball, guys. Follow the bouncing ball. NBC News additionally reported that at least one other device was found on the grounds of the U.S. Capitol. The FBI is investigating to determine if there's a link between the explosive devices and the truck found nearby, the Washington said. A female protester was fatally shot in the mayhem in Capitol Hill. There is something fucking fishy about this IED thing. I don't believe a fucking word of that. Let's keep going. From Politico. Congress certifies Biden's win after day of chaos and violence, from Kyle Cheney, Burgess Everett, Heather Cagle, Melanie Zanona, and Sarah Ferris. A beleaguered Congress finalized President-elect Joe Biden's victory early Thursday morning, capping a day of riots that turned deadly and briefly ground the nation's most powerful institutions to a standstill. It was the last step in affirming Biden's election ahead of the January 20th inauguration, but one marred by violence fueled by the sitting president. Dude, you guys are going to keep trying to blame him for this. And this goes so far beyond the president at this point. And I'm not saying that he didn't have something to do with this, by the way, but this goes so far beyond him at this point. You have people in your caucus that are coming out and saying it is time to imprison the people who put Donald Trump into office. And now that you're handing the chief law enforcement office over to somebody who wrote the 1994 crime bill and somebody who ruthlessly put people into prison for smoking a joint, you think these people aren't scared right now? They are. Because when you tell me that you want to put people in prison for the fact that it's sedition that they voted for Donald Trump, I believe you. I believe you. And the rest of you, everybody watching right now, they should believe them too. You should all believe these people when they tell you that they want to put you in prison. Because they do. I believe you. Vice President Mike Pence formally ascertained Biden's win as the clock struck 3:32 a.m. Thursday morning. Though the outcome was never in doubt, Trump fashioned the bicameral congressional session as a last stand of sorts, pleading for weeks with supporters to descend on Washington to disrupt the ceremonial electoral vote counting process. Thousands complied. Millions complied. Rushing Capitol Police and plunging typically ceremonial proceedings into mayhem. Rushing Capitol Police and plunging the typical ceremonial... Oh, I got a loss on the line there. Vice President Mike Pence, Speaker Nancy Pelosi, and other congressional leaders were whisked to safety as a mob overtook the Capitol and shut down proceedings for hours. So, it is over at this point. Joseph R. Biden Jr. will be your next president, which means that while he is the president, no matter what comes up about him and Hunter, he doesn't have to answer a single question because he's got executive privilege. So as long as he's in office, he doesn't have to say a word. And let's take bets as to whether or not he dies with that secret in office. The establishment saving itself. Let's keep going. We got a bunch more still here, and it's already almost 9. All right. Speaking of people that hate you, and people who took advantage of the MAGA wave to get themselves reelected.
The final thing.
Lindsey Graham. I got Lindsey Graham. I got reelected too. Thank you, MAGA people, for reelecting me. Now fuck you and get the fuck out of here. Senator Lindsey Graham, Joe Biden, and Kamala Harris are lawfully elected and will become president and vice president on January 20th.
The final thing. Joe Biden. I've traveled the world with Joe. I hoped he lost. I prayed he would lose. He won. He's the legitimate president of the United States. I cannot convince people, certain groups, by my words, but I will tell you by my actions that maybe I, above all others in this body, need to say this. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are lawfully elected and will become the president and the vice president of the United States on January the 20th.
And thank you for your vote, okay? Yep, thank you for putting me back into office. That's your Lindsey Graham. In other news here, Facebook and Twitter locked Trump's accounts after posting video praising rioters. I'm going to find that video for the Monday show. If I have to put a BitChute link up so we can watch this on Monday's show, we will. And if Susan wants to take me down over it, then the fuck with her too. This is from Ahiza, Garcia Hodges, Ben Collins, and Dylan Byers. Twitter removed 3 tweets from the account of President Donald Trump Wednesday and suspended his account for 12 hours after he continued to push conspiracy theories about the election after a mob stormed the U.S. Capitol. The company also warned that further violations of its rules will result in permanent suspension of Trump's Twitter account. Do it. Do it. Because your competitors are waiting to take him in. And all the people that have sucked you off, Jack Dorsey, for the last 4 years are willing to go and check out the Nazi site. Oh, Parler, it's full of Nazis. Let's go over there and see what racist Nazi things that they're saying over there. Because I'm going to be the first one to say that former President Trump said something racist. He's still such a racist. One of the tweets included a video of Trump repeating unfounded claims that the election was taken from him and encouraging his supporters to disperse. After violence erupted at the Capitol, he said that law and order were needed and that he loved his supporters. Facebook and YouTube also removed the video from Trump's accounts. Facebook said it would be blocking the president's account for posting for 24 hours due to 2 policy violations. They don't give a fuck anymore. These people hate you too, by the way. Just keep that in mind. And I say this as somebody who markets on Twitter, because I don't want to be in the right-wing echo chamber and my video is only going to people who are already in the same mindset as me. I don't want to be into that. I want to get the information out there so people can have the discussion on both sides. But Dorsey and Zuckerberg are ready to make this into a gigantic echo chamber. Twitter said through one of its company accounts that if Trump removes the tweet, his account will be unlocked. Trump's official government account on Twitter, which he doesn't use as frequently as his personal account, remains active. The removals are dramatic steps given the past hesitancy to curb the speech of political figures. No, it's not a hesitancy. They don't give a fuck about you anymore. They don't give a fuck. They just didn't want anybody to come up and mob them and mass leave their site. Because as the president, if Trump had left, then everybody would have gone over there. All the news media, all the anti-MAGAs, all the red roses, everybody would have gone flooding over to wherever Trump went. Because he was still going to go try and bypass the media. They weren't doing it because they respected the president. They did it because they were fucking scared. These people are still beholden to the people. So yes, Trump's Twitter account is locked. Let's keep going. Ilhan Omar. I am drawing up articles of impeachment. Donald J. Trump should be impeached by the House of Representatives and removed from office by the United States Senate. We can't allow him to remain in office. It's a matter of preserving our republic, and we need to fulfill our oath. You know what the worst part of this is? Right now, they can probably fucking get away with it. They can probably get away with it right now. Because, once again, none of these people are facing down a re-election for at least 2 more years. They can probably get away with it right now. I bet you if they try this, they'd get the plurality in the House that they need. And, oh, it's weird. I've suddenly found the 60 votes that it takes to remove a president from office. It's so weird I couldn't find them at the beginning of the year. Hey, we're going to hear evidence now too. McConnell is not your friend. And I've defended him in the past, but he is not your friend. Let's see what else is going on with this. From KWCH-12 out of Wichita, Kansas. CBS News report, cabinet members discuss invoking the 25th Amendment to remove President Trump. CBS News political correspondent Ed O'Keefe reports from the network's senior foreign affairs correspondent Margaret Brennan that cabinet secretaries in President Trump's administration are discussing invoking the 25th Amendment to remove the president from office. There has been nothing formal presented to Vice President Mike Pence, the report has said. That's it. That's the article. That's all of it. So yes, Ilhan Omar is filing the articles of impeachment. I bet you it happens, because that would be the perfect season finale to The Federal Apprentice. And now they're going to try and 25th Amendment it out too, at the 11th fucking hours. All right, moving out of D.C., which, what have we done? Spend an hour talking about Washington, D.C. right now? From ABC 7 out of Los Angeles, several taken into custody after Trump protesters clashed during a rally in downtown L.A., police say. As Congress convened in Washington to certify the results of the presidential election, dozens of supporters of President Trump rallied Wednesday morning in front of L.A. City Hall, prompting authorities to declare an unlawful assembly. Holding flags and carrying signs that read "Stop the Steal," members of the group stood along Spring Street while others circled the area in their vehicles. News video from AIR-7 HD showed police officers standing in a skirmish line as demonstrators milled about nearby. The demonstration began peacefully, but fights broke out. With counter-protesters, the LAPD tweeted that a few people were taken into custody. Earlier in the day, an LAPD officer put the number of people arrested at 4. So not only are they cracking down in the Capitol, they're cracking down everywhere else. I don't know if we had something go on in Madison. I didn't get to see, I didn't get to hear. I was focused more on what was going on in D.C., considering one of my best friends in the world was in the Capitol when they decided to evacuate it. But yes, it looks like they were doing it in Los Angeles too. Before I go any further on this, I want to address a couple things that I know is going on. Maybe this is better suited for a solo video, but there's something we need to talk about with liberty and with the establishment. Now, we've seen over the past 4 years more working class heroes come into senatorial and representative seats in the GOP. The GOP has become the party of the little guy as the Democrats come forward and threaten institutions, threaten their paychecks, threaten their ability to gain customers. They've been threatening them for the last 4 years. The Democrat Party has become the party of the elites. You're not allowed, unless you're Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and you're backed up by the water fucking buffalo, you are not allowed to be a working class person and come directly into Congress anymore. You're not allowed to do that. if you're on the Democrat side. But we're coming back and we're looking at women like Boebert who are coming into the Congress and realizing that your regular everyday people can come up and at least fare in the GOP. I don't know if they're going to do well right now, but they can at least fare there. And this is the time. These horrific swamp creatures that only backed the president's agenda because they were up for re-election this year. It's time for them to go. I have said that it's time to start primarying some of these people. I would love to see, and this was one of the things, the biggest things that I took away from the Trump presidency was the fact that he made it okay for people to run in the government. And it's time. It's time to start primarying some of these people. Wouldn't you love to see a primary of 15 people for a Senate seat, for a House seat? To try and get some of these people who have made a career out of this in a government that was by the people, that was for the people, where people were expected to go to Congress for a couple of years and then go back home to their regular jobs. It's time. It's time to start primarying some of these people, to try to get some of these people out of there. They don't represent you. They hate you. They hate you. With the authority of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris on full display, and nobody knowing what's going to come in either, it is time. It's time to give the liberty message to the GOP. It's time to give the liberty message to their voters of, hey, you don't have to depend on the government for everything that you do in your life. And we want to put people into your party that represent these values, that the small government needs to be small. Get rid of these people who are basically Democrats. Big government Democrats. With an R next to their name. Get rid of these people who have made billions of dollars off Raytheon. Get people that have never made a penny off of Raytheon into there. It's time. It's time to change the government. Because it's not by the people for the people anymore. All right, let's keep going. Or maybe oh, no, it will go. I got another one from NPR. Jon Ossoff wins Georgia runoff, handing Democrats Senate control. Make sure that you give NPR your money. Because they love to put you to sleep with their quiet, soft voice. This is from Milana Wise. Democrat Jon Ossoff has defeated Republican David Perdue in the Georgia runoff, the AP said Wednesday, giving Democrats control of the U.S. Senate. It is with humility that I thank the people of Georgia for electing me to serve you in the U.S. Senate, Ossoff said earlier Wednesday. Perdue, whose Senate term expired earlier this week, has not conceded the race. Everybody who cast your ballot, everyone who put your faith and confidence in your democracy's capacity to deliver the representation that we deserve. Whether you were for me or against me, I will be for you in the U.S. Senate. No, you won't. You are bought and paid for by the corporations. I will serve all the people of the state. Ossoff is the first Jewish senator from Georgia. This whole first bullshit. He's a person. He's not a first this, he's not a first that. He is a person. And will be the youngest sitting U.S. senator at age 33. His victory comes along with the historic win of Raphael Warnock, who will take office as the state's first black senator. They're the first Democrats to win Senate seats in Georgia since 2000. It will take several days for the Georgia runoffs to be officially certified, so they will not take office immediately. Warnock's term lasts only 2 years, but Ossoff has won a full 6-year term in the Senate. The Senate would be evenly divided between Democrats and Republicans, but once sworn in as Vice President, Kamala Harris will have the power to break ties for Democrats. The race was hard fought and came after Democrats successfully flipped the state blue in the presidential race. Both major parties invested significant time and resources in seeking control of the Senate. So, that race is over too. Let's keep going here. This isn't really a news article, but I figure you guys would enjoy seeing this. This is the bar graph of how the votes came in yesterday. Day before yesterday, I'm sorry. That's how it goes. Notice what happens at 11:02 p.m. But don't worry, folks. Nothing to see here. Everything was 100% above board. Wink, wink, honk, honk. No sorts of anything going on. No bad stuff going on. Let's keep going. From Politico, Republicans turned on Trump after Georgia loss. No, they turned on Trump a long time ago. From Meredith McGraw, Gabby Orr, Andrew Desiderio, and James Arkin. Democrats have pulled off at least one Senate win in Georgia, with another likely to follow, and Republicans are pointing to a frustrated finger at Donald Trump. With control of the Senate at stake in the state's two races, the president chose to spend weeks peddling... I can't even fucking read this. This is disgusting. And we've read it all before. It's just them swallowing what came out of CNN's cock and then gargling it back up and spitting it back out. Plus, we know, I mean, I read the article on this earlier. This is Loeffler saying that, oh, well, I guess I'm not going to certify Trump, object to this after all. Well, thanks for your votes. Let's keep going. I had to see it. You guys had to see it. Gretchen Whitmer, good morning. With a candle, with Stacey Abrams on it, holding the Bible. But don't worry, guys. It's not a cult over on the left. Let's keep going. From CNN, Biden to nominate Merrick Garland as AG. From Jeff Zeleny, Kate Sullivan, and Arlette Sains. Cuomo's going to be pissed. President-elect Joe Biden has decided to nominate Judge Merrick Garland as Attorney General. People familiar with the matter tell CNN, a long-awaited decision that moved towards completion on Wednesday, as it became apparent that Democrats were on the brink of winning control of the Senate. The announcement of the Attorney General, along with the other senior leaders of the Justice Department, is expected to be made as soon as Thursday, as Biden moves closer to filling the remaining seats in his cabinet before assuming power on January 20th. Biden has selected Lisa Monaco, a former Homeland Security advisor in the Obama administration, who has become a close aide to Biden, to be the deputy AG, according to a person familiar with the decision. Donald may not have drained the swamp, and I take issue with that. But the advisors sitting behind Joe are backing the fucking shit truck up to it and pumping the shit back in. All right, last one here, then we'll do a thing that I like and a thing that I hate and head on out for the day. From the AP. Start your day with AP Morning Wire. Justice Department federal court system hit by Russian hack. From Eric Tucker and Frank Bajak. The Justice Department and the federal court system disclosed on Wednesday that there were among the dozens of U.S. government agencies and private businesses comprised by a massive months-long cyber espionage campaign that U.S. officials have linked to the elite Russia hackers. The extent of the damage was unclear. The department said that 3% of its Microsoft Office 365 email accounts were potentially affected, but did not say whom those accounts belong. There are no indications that classified systems were affected, the agency said. Office 365 isn't just email, but a collaborative commuting environment, which means that shared documents were also surely accessed, said Dmitry Alperovich, totally not a Russian spy and a former chief technical officer of the cybersecurity firm CrowdStrike. Yeah, that information's going to get out of here one way or another, and I do have to wonder if this goes back to what Clint was saying last night on the generational gap, where maybe some of these people got some of these hard drives out from members of Congress, and now we can go and explain all this away and put it in the fucking hidey hole where nobody can see it ever again. I feel like this is less an actual accurate report and more of something that maybe trying to get out ahead of another story that may come out and be a little bit more explosive. All right, and that is going to be it for the day on today. But the last thing we do on a Thursday is a thing that I like and a thing that I hate. So, starting off with the thing that I like today. Thing that I like today is going to be what happened yesterday, and I kind of alluded to this at the top of the show. So, Stephen Ignoramus went down and he streamed down at DC, and he had a massive channel boost. I think he's over 4,000 subs over on YouTube. Most of you guys know Stephen Ignoramus. I've recommended his channel on numerous occasions from when he was starting out, and he does the same for me. And it's very much appreciated that he does. That dude is and I said before, I mean, the guy has high expectations of people. He sets the bar really high for the people he surrounds himself with. But then he will cup his hands out in front of you and he will help you get up over that bar. He wants you to be the best version of yourself that you can be, and he'll help you get there. Well, I texted him while he was out there and asked him if he wanted to throw a quick plug up for freedomscoop.com. Just a 10-second thing, like they say on the radio, 10 seconds for station identification. I asked him if he would do that, and he did it. At the peak of his stream, when 40,000 people were watching his stream. Guys, we crashed Freedom Scoop yesterday. We crashed freedomscoop.com, which is amazing. According to some of the stats that I got back off of this, 30,000 people tried to visit the website at once. That is a 3 followed by 4 zeros. Tried to visit the website at once. And that's a good problem to have. It's a good thing to know because it's the first real... we're a small website. I've been trying to grow it for a few years, but it's a small website. And this is our first real test of the infrastructure, and we failed. But that's a bad problem to have, that so many people want to go and look at your work, that you can't handle the volume. So thank you everybody who went over there, check that out. Anybody new coming over there from that, thank you. My name is Jay Edgar. I'm the Director of Operations. Jake from Freedom Scoop is the guy that's in charge over there. We want to build you a better news system that comes by the people and for the people. So you don't have to listen to somebody who makes a 7-figure salary to sit here and tell you how much he hates you for going to the Olive Garden. We want to build something better for you. Better than the Daily Wire, better than CNN, better than Fox, better than everything else. Because we know the issues that are important to you. Because we live the same kind of life that you guys do. We want to build a better news site for you, so come on, check us out. Get some of our feedback here. If you know somebody who wants to write, let me know so we can start getting the written article segment of that going on. And thank you everybody who came by and checked it. And thank you for the plug, Stephen Ignoramus. Thank you for that. And now we'll do a thing that I hate. So the black pill is out already. The memes are out, the black pill is out. JC, the real Army vet, tweets out this meme here. Well, it was a solid 5 days. Here's to 2022. And that is the pissest poor attitude to have off of this. I even tried to make the best out of 2020. As many bad things as happened in 2020, with the commie coup, with my fiance leaving, having to sit back and watch the country collapse, having to watch my hometown burn down, with everything bad that happened in 2020, I still tried to make the best out of it. Throughout the year, you can't throw in the towel 7 days in 2021. You just can't do it. I know it's a joke. I know it's a meme. I know real Army vets really not out there, but there are people that are going to look at this and they're going to say, you know what, it's over. I just realized that I don't have this up on the screen. So let's fix that. Oh yeah, it's over. We'll see you in 2022, and that's the worst attitude to have, you guys. Make it a good year. We're only 6 days in. Yeah, we're going to have some bumps in the road. But we can take those bumps and use them to strengthen the suspension and strengthen the foundation. Yeah, it's going to be tough. 2021 is going to be tough as hell. Especially if you're liberty-minded. But if you just throw in the towel and give up, then you can't complain about it when it goes and blows up in your face. So take whatever's thrown at you, try to make the best out of it. And that's going to be it for the day. So, we will be back here. I'm not feeling real good. I kept waking up in the middle of the night last night, so I'm not feeling the best. So I'm probably going to skip gaming night tonight. I'm probably just going to come home and go straight to bed and get some sleep back off of this year. I do have to get in and go to work at some point. But we will be back here tomorrow with more contemporary. We will see what happens in the news throughout the day, because I'm sure that there's still plenty more to go along with that. I do hope to see you out there, and thank you everybody who's new here. I saw some new names in the chat flying through here. So we will see what's going on with that, and we'll see you tomorrow. Until then, I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary.